Uh, we got interviews, different perspectives, interview. Listen and learn what winners do. Empirical wisdom.
You've done a lot of things in the past years, but when I met you how much you weigh?
450.
450. And you didn't look it because I mean you're fairly tall.
That was next to Brent. That's why.
No, but it was 450,
Yeah.
and like obviously, like you know, but you're you're pretty active though.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's not like you were like you know how some people are heavy and
I was
lethargic.
like Michael Orr.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lethargic, but and then like, dude. So I was glad to see like through your social media, like once you made that decision to like go through your process and stuff like that. You know,
Yeah.
you lost a whole bunch of freaking weight.
Yeah.
Doing that. How long did it take?
Like, it took me like 2 years because I basically didn't do what the doctor said. I went straight into like Orange Theory and marathons and just doing it. So I went from 450 all the way down to 200, and they were like, "You got to come back up. You can't." Because they got to the point where even my face, I was like, looking at pictures, I was like, and I could like do like this and.
So hold on, you were 450,
mm-hmm.
but you dropped the weight through the gastro.
Yeah, the sleeve, and the sleeve was only supposed to get me to 300 pounds.
300, and so but you had to put in the work, and like that was just dieting.
Yeah. Basically, it was just restricting what I can eat.
Gotcha. So just limiting your intake.
I would get full faster, but the thing was, I can get full faster, and 10 minutes later be hungry again. So it was more like, oh, now you're eating small, but if you're still eating shit, not all throughout the day, you're doing the same thing. There's people who gain weight doing it still. So I just went straight, like I cut out everything for like those 2 years, and just was like running all the time, working out all the time. That's all I did, and then it got to where I lost too much weight and like have to either gain some muscle or do something. And I got good. I got up like to the 240 mark where I was good with myself, and then COVID, and I was like.
Yeah, no, COVID affected a lot of like the routines and stuff like that. But that's so I didn't know like that's how it works. Like you get the sleeve and then you're only supposed to wait. Lose so much weight.
Yeah, they have the gastric. What is that thing called? I got the gastric sleeve, which is the most like that's the non-invasive, not invasive, but it's not. It's the I forgot the other one where they gastric bypass.
Yeah.
Where that one, they're tying your tubes and they're like, there's like a dumping thing. Like I didn't like when I read it, I couldn't understand what they were doing.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to do it. So I was like, if I can't understand like reading this of like what the hell's going on, I don't want you doing it to me. So the sleeve, they were like, we're cutting your stomach where you can only hold this much, but you can still stretch it out again. But it's going to let you eat small portions at one time. But if you keep eating the wrong stuff, it's going to stretch back up, and you're going to be right back in the same position.
Yeah. How old were you when I met you? Around that time?
I think I was like 20 because I was like, I think my 21st birthday was at the Rock. At the Rack.
You were young, dude. Yeah. That's crazy, man. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
But you put in a lot of work and stuff like that. I was happy to see your whole progress every time I saw it on social media. I was like, yo, that's pretty. But so what triggered that? Like for you to be like, you know what? I want to make this kind of like drastic change. Or
Lacey, like 2 weeks after Lacey died, I was gone. I was like, yeah, I'm doing it, and then figured out like how to do. Like I said, I couldn't afford it in the States, so I didn't have insurance, so I flew my ass to Mexico.
Yeah, good friend Lacey, man. Like it was crazy because he was doing so well, right on the path to follow whatever. Yeah. But obviously, health, is important, man, because it's crazy. No, but I'm glad to see that you went through your whole process. I mean, looking totally different from back then. It's a freaking such a big change and stuff like that. And but what was interesting because at that time, I think you had already written a book, right?
Yep, in high school I got it published.
What was the title of the book?
Soul Inspired Poems.
And what got you to write?
So basically, it's funny because now when I look back at the book, I was like, oh my God, that was terrible. But it was like when I was in school before we moved, we were in Progress Village, and all I knew then was just like hanging out. Like I wasn't like selling drugs or anything, but I was just a smart ass in school. So I would do the classes I liked to do, I would do, and then anything I did, I just didn't give a crap about. So it was constantly like, it got to the point where my teachers couldn't stand me. Well, a lot of teachers couldn't stand me. A lot of them, they knew I was coming to their class. Like they just didn't care what I did, anything. So my mom told me in 8th grade, she was just like, they're going to keep passing you, but if you fail this last semester in here, I'm holding you back. And I would go to the school board. I would do anything because she was still teaching at that time too.
Yeah.
And of course I didn't take her seriously and I failed and they still passed me. And she was like, no. She went to the school board and they held my ass back. And I was like, uh-oh. So we wound up moving all the way to Carrollwood. And I got to that school and then my school then sent them a whole thing of like, he does this, he fights, he has a bad temper, he talks, like everything. So I went into the school and our first meeting, I remember the assistant principal basically just told me about myself. Like, if you do this, you're out of here. If you do this, and I'm just like, what the hell? Like, so it followed me so heavy, but my teachers were like, no, they pushed me to like, no, we're going to beat whatever they're telling me about us. So I found out I liked writing in actually one of my language arts classes. And my guidance counselor, Kim Tomasco, I still remember her name, that she was just like, oh, you got, because that first year, the FCAT writes, I got a 5.5 out of 6 on the writing. And all these other years, I was like getting a 2 or 3, but when I actually like focused and did it, so she was like, you need to look into this more. So she started putting me with other teachers, like, oh, help them write this. Then they realized, oh, the poems you do are really good. And so I just started collecting them and just writing them. And it was her that told me, like, you put everything together and make a book. It doesn't have to be published, but when she said, I'm like, no, I'm gonna get a book published. So I just all throughout my second, 8th grade year and through high school, I was just writing. And then my 11th grade year, I started pushing for publishing. And a lot of people were like, no. But one publishing place that they're like, you know what, let's take a shot on them. And they did. And I'm like, I was so proud of just doing that. And they actually sent a book to the school. And from there, like, this is like, you actually push the kids and you have to, instead of just dismissing them, look what happened. And they sent my FCAT score. They sent everything to them. So it was funny from there. So like, that was my biggest like motivation, just to tell that other school and those teachers
that's insane, dude. Because like I want to write a book, right? Mm-hmm. I think like that's a personal thing that I want to accomplish. Mm-hmm. And but it's hard. Mm-hmm. Like, it's hard to put things on. Like, I guess I'm trying to stay on topic, right? Like, pick a topic and just stick to it. But it's so hard because as I'm going into a topic, like, I start deviating from that, because then I want to break something else down, right? So I've talked to a couple of different people, and they always tell me like how they do it, right? Mm-hmm. So like, everyone has a different approach. Like, some people, they wait until like everyone goes to sleep, and then they'll write like so many words, right? And they just do it like constantly, every either twice a week or every night or whatever, right? And that's how they get things. And they say just write, right? Just write. Hopefully I'm able to accomplish that. But it's interesting because then we go back to like Progress Village, right? So we know, like, if you live in Tampa, you live in this area, like, Progress Village is a lot of energy, right? Yeah. A lot of energy. So and you always been like an energetic guy, like quick to I don't want to say react, but you always had like, you were good with responses. You know what I mean? Like, someone said something, you were good at responding. Yeah. Which is pretty cool, because not everyone has that ability to do that. But once you go to Carrollwood, is probably a different environment. And you're like, what the hell is going on here? And because you were going to Sickles, I think, right?
Yes.
At some point.
Well, that was my high school.
Yeah. So and obviously that's pretty cool. Like, how they, like that, it does to show people that you can help a kid change, right? If you put the right energy into the kid. Right. But sometimes teachers can be overwhelmed with all the negativity around them. When you got like all this many kids in the classroom and everyone's just like full of energy, is super tough. Like, so there's no balance. So dude, so after that, like, I mean, we worked at a casino for a long time. You moved on, and what do you start doing? Like,
I got straight up fired from the casino.
Oh, that's right, because I left before you, right? Yeah, I think I left before you.
I don't remember.
Yeah, it was something like that. I think I left before you. Yeah.
I remember I started having like these issues with all related to the weight. Yeah. Was I started getting these cysts on my lower back, and it was like I couldn't walk. So I went on FMLA, but they didn't like that. But like, there's times I couldn't walk or whatever. Yeah. And I would go to the hospital. I would have hospital records and stuff, and then they just found other ways. And then when I finally came back, they were like, "Yeah, you're out of here." So They just kind of like jumped into one of those things. Like, all right, well, it is what it is, kind of thing like that. So from there, like, it was crazy because I took a transition where I started help doing the medical foster care.
Yeah.
And helping those kids, getting them adopted, going from there. And then, but before, like even before and during the casino, I was in like real estate management wherever I could get in, like the rental homes or whatever, just like a side hustle kind of thing. And basically like a lot from my dad and my grandma and stuff like that. And so, but I didn't really want to go back because I knew that I was like, it was a lot to get back in there. So it wasn't until actually when I got married, and then, we got engaged, and then, but before then, I was already cycling out of the medical foster care. Most of the kids were already adopted, and I was just not accepting new ones. And once the last couple ones were gone, I wound up closing the home down. I was like, I just want to go back to work. So at that point, we were engaged. We were already like legally married because we were doing one small wedding just to get her done, and then planning the big wedding. So we got the small wedding, and I was like, there was another one, like looking into electrician, looking at this, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden my wife got laid off from her job there. She was there for like 8 years and pretty high up there. And so from there, it was kind of like, like you have to like lock in and figure out what the hell you're going to do. Cause now like you're married, never done that before. Yeah. And then you have these two girls, like my daughters now, it was a lot. So, and I knew the place that she was at was toxic. It was like draining on her. And I just wanted to make sure like, no, the next place you go that you're able to not be so stressed out. Yeah. So I literally went right back into real estate management. But the thing was, it's been such a gap that I literally had to start over from all the way from like walking in, like I have no experience kind of thing. That's literally what they said. They were like, well, you've been out of the game for a minute. So basically the biggest thing on my resume was you were at the casino all these years for security and a blackjack deal. Yeah. Right? So I started all the way at $12 an hour and married. And we luckily, we had our bills, we had everything. But I made sure no matter leases, sales, anything I can get for extra commissions, anything like that, I would work and I would hustle and like just do my hardest to do that, but I had a plan to make sure I'm just going to run my ass right back up this chain. Like I'm going to make it back up there. I'm not going to let any of this crap stop me. Yeah. So my wife's still looking for it. She's very specific in what she does because she does like grants and stuff like that. Yeah. So she had the time to do it while we're still paying for this big ass wedding that's about to happen. So we were like, we were tight as hell, but we made it work. I kept doing it. And then from there I got as soon as my resume hit enough experience of going into that, I just started applying, got my next position, went from leasing to high-rise leasing to assistant manager to property manager, and just kept grinding, got all the way up to portfolio manager and doing project management at the same time for like multiple apartment complexes and just doing everything. And I was just like, at that time, it was a whole lot of, there was no work-life balance. It was like 24/7, my phone was going off doing this, and it was stressing me the hell out. So finally, when I got to the point where I was like, I want to go to the corporate side of that, and I fell in love with doing the vendor management because during those projects, when I had to onboard new vendors, I had to manage what they were doing, make sure they were doing it right before I issue payment and stuff like that. I was like, I like this side of it. The tenants, like.
Yeah, because you have to deal with a lot of different attitudes, personalities, and stuff like that. And obviously everybody feels entitled, right? And everyone wants to demand something, right? There's no like asking. It's more like, hey, they come, especially depending on the demographics, right? And we know our Hispanic people, how they can be, and like they can come very aggressive, right? And things like that, like not just asking, but like shouting, if anything, Right. So you got to deal with that. Yeah. Now, when you went into this whole thing, like you did, it was mostly out of necessity, right? So it wasn't something that you were looking forward to doing. Right.
It went back to like, what can I use my old skills for that I already had, and then I knew something I can get into, and then it's you can get into the field, but it's up to how hard you grind with your collections, with your management, with the budgeting, and that they see that you can climb up. Yeah. So I was like, I know this route is going to get me to where I need to go. It's going to suck all the way up there, but I'm going to do it. So, but it allowed my wife time that I wound up getting a job with the state of Florida. And then from there, now she's like with the feds and like it's doing what she always done. Yeah. And when I finally started applying to the vendor management side, that it was like such a huge jump from that to the corporate level of property management. I finally got in there and loved doing it there. And then I got like 2 years of that, or a year and a half of that under me. And then from there, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna push again. I'm gonna try and push it up. I'm just gonna keep pushing. But when I finally got there, I started getting my work-life balance back. So it got to the point where I was remote, hybrid, and I wasn't working weekends anymore. I wasn't getting calls at 3 o'clock in the morning. I wasn't having the fire department and the police knocking on my door at 2 o'clock in the morning saying you need to come to the property, you need to do this. So I started like enjoying more time with my family, going out doing stuff like that. But I was like, all right, I hustled all the way up here. So like at this point now, that's a non-negotiable. Like now at this time I need. So I was seeing jobs that I can go here now, but I was like, no, now I have to go in the office every day. I'll be on call for certain I'm like, no, I'm not. I don't even want to apply for that. Like I'm keeping that because it's so important to me now. And just waiting and doing that, it got me to the position where I am now at senior leadership, where for vendor management, but it went from one field all the way to e-mobility and electrical infrastructure. So I'm like, this is new. They're like, it's relatable. Like I'm working with electric contractors. I've done that before, but it's just on a whole different spectrum of what we're doing. And they allowed me to come in there and just completely build the entire program. Like, this is what we have. We don't want it. Like, it's not working. So you're coming in here to this mess, and we expect you to wipe it out and just completely build a new team, a new everything, and make this program work. And we want to reevaluate in a year. But these are our goals, Hal. So within like 3 months in, we've exceeded their 12-month goal for us because I was able to control the program the way I wanted to, hire the team, set that atmosphere, and push for everyone to have that full remote and for everyone to have that work-life balance where everyone's in there as a team player. So it was like literally going from $12 an hour and just telling myself that no one's going to outwork me. I'm going to do everything I can to climb back up. And then no matter what I do, I'm just always going to feel like every single day I have to prove myself. But at the same time, not taking this shit home. Even though I'm working from home, I'm like, at the end of the day, I'll deal with this tomorrow, I'll deal with this Monday. And finally getting that piece back to being over a 6-figure base that fast. And I tell everybody, I just grind. That's all I did was just I didn't care what I had to start from, and I'm gonna call my.
So
ass
you
all the way
use
back
your master's or your PhD from college?
I used my high school diploma and my certificate from ACC. So that was the other thing because there were so many. Like I told you, there's so many positions that I'm like, oh, I have that, have that, have that. But then I was like, oh, but we prefer a master's, we prefer this, we prefer that, and you're like, I don't have that. And I read that study that these CEOs were saying, the male CEOs were saying that, oh, I only look between 50 and 70%. If it's what I have, I apply for it. Where they found they did the study that women and minorities, if they don't have 100% of what they're asking for, they won't apply. So it holds us back. Yeah. Me, the worst thing you can do is tell me no. Yeah. Like if had me sit through all these interviews and you're like, oh well, we're not going to hire you because you don't have a bachelor's or a master. Why'd you waste my time and your time? Like, you're not hurting me at the end of the day. I've still got a job. So I'm just looking to push forward, and it hasn't failed me yet. So
yeah, I think it's like it's a cultural thing where like they probably like they through generations of family, right? They program us to feel not up to par with certain things,
right?
Because we read the print. And then we're afraid to go for it, right? Because I've heard that before. Like, there's some people out there that they'll have like, 70% or whatever, and they'll still apply and eventually and get the job. Yep. Like because, and I think that's where you got to be courageous, right? Like you got to have the courage to like just go for it. Mm-hmm. Like you say, what's the worst that's going to happen? They're going to say no to you. Yeah. Like so what? You know, like I mean. Since we're little kids, our parents tell us no a lot of times, Exactly. So, but we got to use it to our benefit, and that's super key right there, because like there's a lot of minorities that don't they see the print and like, oh, you need to have this, you need to have that, and they totally shy away from that, and they shouldn't be doing that, Right. But it's pretty cool how you revamping or streamlining the process where you work at right now. But I think like everything that you've done since high school, like by writing the book and putting things together and also like eventually getting married, going through a little struggle, or going through a little challenge, right? Like so having to start from the bottom and rebuild things and stuff like that. The good thing is like when I was looking at your social media, like I never throughout the years I've never seen you like cry about those things.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you'll go and rant about traffic or something else, but you never went on social media and said like, oh, you know, I'm not making money, or there's no jobs, you know, I can't find any job, I can't do this. Oh, people don't like me because I'm this, I'm that. You know what I mean? Like you never. I mean, from what I've seen, I've never seen you like complain about stuff like that.
Right.
You know, and obviously, based on what you're telling me, like it comes down to the grind, right? Like you don't. And I try to express this to a lot of people because I got friends that didn't finish high school. I got friends that started college and they felt it wasn't for them, but they went on and created a business.
Right.
You know, and they became entrepreneurs and they live in beautiful houses and you know they found peace of mind because that's what we all want.
Right.
Like we like that, and that's why I don't want to be on the phone. Like I think you gotta do like you gotta be born to do stuff like that.
Right.
To be on the phone or dealing with people and their situations,
right.
especially when they have a strong personality, it's an internal battle. You know, like because you internalize it. Like they say what they want to say, but you can't really say what you truly want to say. You know?
Right.
So it's like you internalize it, and then you have to deal with that, and that's how a lot of people deal with depression or anxiety or like many different things. You know, because you build it up for so long that one day you just explode. You know,
or the tequila valley.
yeah. But that's to show you also like because for you. It's not even like you having to go from $12 to where you at now, but it was is more like from high school what you had to overcome, and luckily there were people that there's always going to be that one person of those two people that somehow believe in you and see something in you, you know, and then they push you to do something a little better, and then they kind of like the good thing is like they don't just tell you do this, but they also kind of like propose kind of like a solution.
Right.
Like the teacher, you know, like, hey, you don't have to publish it, but if you want to publish it, you know what I mean? Like, and that's kind of like giving you an idea of what to do next.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of times people are like, oh, they should be doing this, but I'm like, well, you tell them how to do it, and then give them the solution. Right. Don't just judge. You know, like a lot of people always judging other people, and especially like the older generation judging the younger generation, you know, like this and that, and so you know that's why like it's cool to hear those like stories, because a lot of people kind of like give up, like they quit. You know, like they don't like what was your thought process? Like for example, when your wife got laid off, what was your thought process at that moment? Like what was it that clicked in your head that you were like, all right, this is what I have to do, and you know, and this is like, do you create you had a goal in mind, like to where you at right now? Is something that you thought about, like, or you just said, I just want to go as far as possible, or you said I want to be in like corporate as far as possible, or you know, so I want to be manager, you know, then obviously other things fall in place, you know.
And with me, it was more like survival kicked in. I knew like I can jump into this now, I'm not gonna like it, but at the same time, I know I was good at it, and I can put me in anything. I'm gonna figure it out. I'm gonna work as hard as I can at it, and I'm gonna climb up it, like no matter what. Because the biggest thing is like a lot of people I feel they don't want to deal with uncomfortable situations. Like I'm in this field, I don't really want to do it, so I'm good here. But I know if I try and push for this, now I have to learn something new there. I have to deal with new shit. I don't want to do that. But it's like that uncomfortable side that you have to deal with is what helps you grow. Like when you're working out, no one, like, you don't want to work out, but if you're trying to build muscle and stuff like that, you're going to have to increase the weight. You have to make your muscles uncomfortable so they adapt and they grow to be able to handle that. So, and then I wasn't scared to fail. Like, I was like, you know what? Like, what's going to happen? You know what I'm saying? Like,
you're already coming up from the bottom, right? In a sense.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And then I was like, and I just think, like, so many people don't want to fail or be uncomfortable. It's like, you need these two things, like, to be able, like, any entrepreneur you talk to, they're not going to, most of them are not going to be like, oh yeah, my dad gave me $500 million and I just this worked, or
Yeah.
I did a lot of like I had to risk doing all of this. That risk is not comfortable. It's something new, and you can fail at it. I have a high risk of failing at it, but they took that step. They pushed to do that, and then that's what happened. So I had to say, like, look, I have to do something. I know right now I can get in here, and you know what? Worst case, if I can't, guess what? I will deliver Amazon packages. I'll do whatever I have to do. There was times that I was out there digging up pipes for APG for the hospital. I'm like doing that. I'm working. I'm like whatever I can do. Like we're gonna be good. Like I'm not gonna let my new family fail. Like I'm gonna do whatever I have to do to get there. And then that's what I did. Like I just kept pushing and
you maintain a positive mindset. Right. And you didn't play victim,
right?
You know, like a lot of people do, and a lot of times what happens, I think, like people don't want to get uncomfortable because they want to go into things from A to Z, right? They never want to go from. They don't understand there's A, B, C, D, right? And you build until you get to the Z. Right. But they just want to walk into a place and for everything to be comfortable. You know, they never want to like be challenged, right? And when they get challenged, like people want to like. Oh my God, you're right. It starts like panicking because they're not used to it. But that's not the world that we live in. Right. You know? Like talking about that, like I see what this newer generation is doing, right? The younger generation. They go to a job and they don't like it, they quit, they find another job. And they catching a lot of like criticism from the older generation, right? And so I started thinking about that and I started analyzing it, and I was like, you know what? I actually like what they're doing because my generation was go to work, 40 hours overtime, get paid, get your benefits, work for the company for 30, 40 years, retire. Get your gold watch it up. Yeah. Here's your little thing, thin gold watch or whatever, right? And but there were so many times that I just wanted to get up and go. Right? And another thing was that when there were people coming into the company, right, from the outside, making more money than people that were growing up with the company, right? And I think that's what the younger generation is actually getting because they don't put up with crap, right, from anyone, like which they shouldn't. No one should be putting up with anybody else's crap, right? It is work. I don't come to work to get stressed the hell out, right? To be under pressure over a project is one thing, but for people to have like your manager or the people leading the team to constantly put that type of toxic pressure is not good. Right? Because now you before you even go to work, you already don't want to be there.
Yeah, it's not worth your work-life balance.
Yeah, your health is going to affect your health, your mental health, everything. And so, but one thing that I don't want to see the younger generation do is be so quick to quit. They still got to embrace the challenge, right? And the right challenge though, right? Like if someone's coming in, like your manager or the owner or whatever is coming in and they're cursing you out, like there's no need for you to be there. You know, like you shouldn't be taking that. Like you gotta find something else. And as you work in there or whatever, or get up and quit. If you feel fine with that, then that's what you do, right? So but at the same time, because they don't embrace the challenge, they have a hard time starting from the bottom, right? Because they want to go from whatever they are to higher and higher.
Take the elevator.
And because it should always be, from my perspective, it should always be kind of like a flat line, right? And then you go up, then another flat line, then you go up, then another flat line, right? They just want to go like this. And
stairs versus elevator.
Absolutely. And I think that's where they're gonna run into problems because it's not gonna build character. It's not gonna build character. And I'm gonna tell you something, man. Like when we used to work at a casino, and even though we did the detail, we had to do the club, the bars, and the detail for the high profile people. That job taught me a lot of things because we had to handle people without a weapon.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we had to like disarm those people
Right.
with words,
Right.
right? And just with energy, because we can't just go and punch them, even though people will get nasty at times. And sometimes, we did have to like remove some people from the club or the bars. But it taught me a lot of things, because it's different when you approach other people with a gun by your waist, right? By your side. Or if you know, like to go and just grab someone physically and throw the person out, than to have to go out there and kind of like the customer service thing, right? So even though we were doing security detail, we still had to go and talk to these people, you know, and talk to them in a way that they understood, like, hey, listen, you don't want to get in trouble here, you know, you leave, right? And that job taught me a lot of things, because it gave me that, it helped my character, you know. Yeah, at times, you know, that there were nasty people and we had to kind of like react to those things, but it's still to a certain point, right? We could never like cross a line. And that's why I'm grateful for that job. And I think more and more I'm always grateful for like the past experiences, you know, and also my past experiences, and also like the past experiences of other people, you know, because I remember talking to you one time in the club and I was like, dude, you got so much potential, just like stay focused, you know, because at the time it was so easy to deviate from things, because you know, the team was like, oh, let's go celebrate this, let's go celebrate. I was coaching, so a lot of times I had to like, even when the times that I came out, I think for your birthday one time I came out, and I was like, all right guys, I gotta go, you know, and I would go to sleep for a few hours. In the morning, I was going out to like an event, you know, a fighting event or something like that. So it was never easy, and sometimes I had my son, you know, so I was never able to like really come out and party the way, you know, like the rest of the team was able to gather and enjoy, you know. But and I remember talking to you, and I remember like saying like, dude, just like stay focused, you know, no matter what. Like, you know, you have a lot of potential. Like, you're different from many other people, you know. And because sometimes it's sad, dude. Like, you know, I see like friends from the past, and I'm glad to see many of them doing well. But at the same time, some of them, like, they haven't changed. You know, like they haven't really grown. You know, and things like that. And like you said, like, because you mentioned something where you were saying, you didn't have the work-life balance. It would just grind. And a lot of people understand that there's a time that all you're going to do is grind, right? Grind. And then once you get it to a certain point, then you get to alleviate a little bit of that by having now more time for yourself, right? Which means you, your wife, your kids, you know, your family. But you still kind of like plugged in, but then you also got to know how to unplug, right? Because you can't stay plugged in the whole time, because then it will affect your relationship, you know, like you with the family, you're thinking about work, but in all the stuff that you went through, even the survival mode, right? Like it I'm pretty sure it taught you certain things, like, okay, in order for me to make this happen, like you were saying, the intensity, your mindset of like, I don't care what I got to do, I'm going to go do it to make the money, to be able to keep paying the bills, to maintain my family, right? And you kept pushing forward, right? You weren't like, let me slow down. Oh, I hate this. No, in your mind, you were like, your goal was to like make sure that you gotta stay afloat and above, right? And you got to be disciplined. You got to have the right mindset, and you had to like basically it's like you being a business, and you have to have HR, right, in your house, HR, accounts payable, right, accounts receivable. You have to have like the person doing the labor, you know, all those things, which is like, and that applies a lot of things that you do in your life, how you treat your life, you know, how you overcome certain things. That eventually will help you into other things. Look at you now, like you streamlining things. I went to college for that. You know what I mean? Like I went to college. Like I got a degree in basically is like engineering management, right? So streamlining businesses. And I go look at the business, look at the processes and stuff like that. And a lot of the times it's human error, right? They just some deficiencies like in anything else. But look at you. You see, you experience other things without having to go to college. And boom. Now you're doing something that a lot of people went to college for, right? And that's just from your struggle. That's just from your life experience. You know, like how many people you got in your group, like in your team, or like how does it work?
So total there, I think there's 130.
Woo.
Like in our thing, but my direct report, we're direct reports are 7.
Okay, nice. So you gotta go in there and just make sure that everyone is on point.
Right.
Like everyone is fulfilling their objective.
Right.
You know, to meet the goal.
Team goal.
To meet the goal.
Yeah.
Got you. Yeah, that's pretty interesting. And that's what happens a lot of times in business, like, or in any company. Like, everyone is like, you go and you ask people, like, what is the goal of the company? And they don't know.
Yeah.
And they don't know. But they don't understand, like, when you have a let's say, a big company, like, HR has an objective, accounts payable has an objective, and it has to be clear, right? Everyone has to know their objective, because when they come together, then they fulfill the company's goal, right? So that's how it works. Yeah. But a lot of times when you ask people, like, they don't know. They just go in there because they don't create a culture, right? And what you're doing right now is creating a department, let's just say department culture, right? Where, like, hey, guys, come in here. You want to talk to me? Come and talk to me. Open door, right? Like, you don't have to knock. You don't have to say me. Just, you want to come talk to me, ask me what's going on. Let's get it resolved, right? And that's the key, man. Right. That is the key, you know, because a lot of people don't do that, and it becomes difficult for the employee who's doing the work and who knows what's going on to have some type of positive input into the process, right? Because the higher up can be a little too standoffish, or just gives out a negative energy, and then people don't want to be around that, you know. So people would rather be just like, you know what, I'm just gonna sit back and do my job and do whatever, you know. Yeah,
and I learned from my first property that I managed as the property manager there, that the biggest thing that I see is the difference between someone managing their team and leading their team. So there was times we were doing turns, and the guys were already burnt out. It was like 260 units, and I'll go change my clothes. I'll go out there bringing dryers and ovens down thing. There was move-ins that were supposed to come in, and the damn cleaning company was like, we can't make it today. Like, yeah, they're moving in today. So there was way more many times than I wanted to go to Home Depot, and I would clean that apartment and be in there scrubbing and oven and off and everything. And then I didn't have to tell them. I didn't have to, like, oh, where's Justin at? Oh, he's cleaning such and such. You know, come out. Oh, we'll do. Like, no, like, you go finish those other ones just in case. They'll get all that stuff. So when the team started seeing that, because the property I came into was pretty damn rough, and they were all burnt out. But when they started seeing, we built that culture where we were all like a team, and we were just like, hey, this is our goal, man. Let's get all these rented out. When I got there, I want to say that there was, I don't remember. I think it was like 60% like occupied. And we got it to 100% occupied with a waiting list. It's just like we were just on it and going. There's units that were so messed up and just like they weren't even livable, so they were boarded up. And we got in there and we were changing them out, learning new stuff, and I was learning how to lay floors down, do all this, like just jumping in wherever I can to get the thing done. But I've used that ever since then because I'm an impatient ass person. But anything that I get, if you give me a deadline, I'm like, let me get this way beforehand. But I'm like, instead of me saying, I expect this, because you can't expect people to be you. It was more of me just showing up. But yeah, I know it says that, but I'm going to go do it now. I'm going to get this done. But then it started, other people like, yeah, you know, let me get this done now before doing that. So I believe and still believe that way, leading in my team now where there's high areas that we need to get ECs in or projects that are coming due. I'll jump in there with them, even though if they're assigned areas. I'm like, hey, you do these 5, I do these 5, then you do your, and I'm going to take these, and I'm going to do. So I'll give myself a whole damn plate of work to do, just not to say like, oh, you guys, but let's get it done beforehand. Yeah. And I'm going to jump in there and help you guys. Here's some template I just came up with. It worked. These people weren't responding because we needed this, but I used this. It worked, and now we have like a 50% response rate from the email no one's responding to. charity. So it's always been working out well that way. So
yeah, because they respect you because of that. Because you see, you jump into it to present a solution, right? A lot of people are like, do, right? But when you jump in, now people want to go the extra mile for you, especially if you lead it, because that's what a leader should be doing, like jumping into things and help the rest of the people find a solution, right? Not so much telling them to find a solution, but more like, this is how we're gonna do it. Look, boom, boom, boom. Because sometimes they need to see somebody else like do something in order for me, like, oh, okay, cool, you know.
And then be open to be like, oh, I don't think that'll work. I think this will work.
Yeah.
All right, let's try that.
And at the same time, you and your leadership, like, you also learn about the challenges of the task, right? So you understand that it's not going to take him 2 hours.
Right.
You understand that it's going to take him more than that, right? It might take him 2 days, right? You also understand that might not take him 3 hours. Right. It might take him less, right? And things like that. So because you jump in there, you see, you get a feel for it. Yeah. Absolutely. So you're more understanding, and you don't become overly demanding, you know? But as you demand, you also put in, right? So they see that. So everyone just falls in place because everyone is like on the same page. Yeah. And that's awesome, dude. That's pretty, like me as a coach and like telling fighters, like, because it's a different mindset. Like, I mean, the mindset is the same as far as trying to succeed, right? And you always got to push forward and overcome challenges. But every fighter is like a brand, right? So they got to handle their HR, their this, that, all these different departments. But me, what I like doing is like sending out a whole bunch of videos from other people saying things, because sometimes it's like we don't listen to our parents, and we'll be quicker to listen to other people, to strangers that don't know anything about us, but they'll tell us, oh, this and that. They'll tell you the same thing that you told them. My daughters. So that's why I'm always trying to bring other people around, could kind of like understand like that perspective, and they can give them the message, right? So it's like I've say it, but then maybe a year later I have somebody else that's going to repeat it, right? So now you'll probably take heed to that, right? So and so that's why it's so important for me to like send videos out, listen to these people, listen to what they're saying. You know what I mean? Like, hopefully you pick up on that, you know, and use it to your advantage. A lot of times they listen, but they're not really listening. You know, they're just like, oh, okay. You know, they're doing something else. You know, they're watching TV or whatever. Like me, if someone sends me a video, like I literally sit down and like, I don't want nothing on, and just like start like listening to the video, because there's a reason why people sending me something, you know, and I listen to every word, you know, and I'm always going to find something that is going to help me out.
You know what I learned from my parents telling me, even as being a kid and stuff, there's things they'll tell me, like, you may not need this now, but like little nuggets that you pick up, like it may take 5 different people to tell you it 5 different ways, but I picked up a little bit from you, picked up a little bit from you, and then it's like, and you never know when you need it, and all of a sudden you're in a situation, you're like, oh, like, you know, I remember this person telling me there's this person there. I was like, yeah, you remember one message, but it took those different people, like, you listen just enough from this person just to be able to now, like later on in your life, be able to use it. And I see it so much now as an adult when there's things that come up, and I remember like being tight and stuff like that. But my parents were always like, oh, we're gonna go to Busch Gardens, we're gonna go do this, and I'm like, yeah, I'm just complaining we didn't. And then so now during that time, now you feel like, no, let's go to the park. What's free? Let's go ride our bike somewhere. Let's go do it. But it was important to still be like, we tight, but we still like, we're not gonna let you know we tight. We're just gonna feel. And it was just, they never physically told me, this is what's going on, this is what we're doing, but you just knew it, and then it just adapted so fast. And it's like, and the older I get, the more it's like, oh,
because they never play victim,
right? And
your parents came from the Bronx, right? You see, so like they went through their own little struggle as well, you know, like coming up before they moved to Florida, I'm pretty sure, because the Bronx is a rough place, you know. But that's what I'm saying. Like there's a couple people that we've like actually interviewed, and they'll mention the same thing. Like, you know, like single mom per se, you know, and mom never show any type of like, hey, we don't really have the money, but we're still gonna make it happen.
Right.
You know, so they never play victim to the circumstances.
Right.
And and your parents did the same thing. So they were always maintain a positive attitude. You know, just moving forward. And I'm not talking about parents being perfect, but I'm saying like they did the stuff that they needed to do in order to make sure that their kids had the family time, the family moments.
Right.
You know, and that teaches you. Like sometimes, like you say, we don't realize those things until later on in life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when we going through our own little experiences, and then we're like, oh man, you know, like, man, I was stupid. I was being stupid.
Right.
You know, like
Right.
saying this or demanding this, demanding that, not knowing how much I had to overcome. You know, like
Thinking I know everything.
Yeah. Well, we all go through the stage, right?
Right.
We know
for
everything.
life.
Yeah. we all know everything, right? So it takes a lot of work on yourself and you went through a lot of work because even like losing weight, it takes work. Like you had to like really dig in. Unfortunately, it was due to our friends passing, right? But you still had to dig in and be like, I'm gonna go do it,
right.
You know, and I gotta change this because if I don't, like, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna be on the same path, right? And so you overcoming those things and you know, and just making sure that you didn't play victim to like what was going on, you know, like you had the right mindset, and no matter where like you still say like, hey, you know what, I just gotta fasten my seatbelt and go, you know. A lot of, like I was saying, you know, a lot of people like they'll quit, you know, right away, and there's no need for that. You still gotta embrace a little bit of the heat, right? And like know how it feels, and then just keep moving forward. I mean, like your experiences in life have like led you to where you're at right now, and to be able to care for people, because your parents are very they care for people. Like, you know, when I've met them, they're very nice to people. You know what I mean? So and when you care for people, when you care for yourself and you care for people, then you become a good lead, right? You can lead people the right way. When you're just there for a paycheck and a promotion and a title, then you become a manager, right? So you just follow whatever they tell you to do, and then you just pass it down. There's no empathy. There's no nothing. No good energy. There's no growth, right? Because people that lead, they want to see you grow. I think like that, especially with the people that I train and stuff like that. Like, I'm trying for them to, like, I don't want them to depend on me. Like, I want them to grow. You know, eventually, like, go make your money. You know, do this. Like, stay on the right path. Do the right things. So it'll lead to other opportunities.
Right.
You know?
I tell my team now. I always tell them, I don't want you guys working me for 10, 15 years. Like, I want you to learn. I'm going to teach you, like, when I was doing property management, I'm teaching the leasing, the assistant manager. Oh, you're maintenance, but you think that you might want to be a property manager. All right, let me start showing you. Like, I want you to grow, and I want to be able to help you do that. My team now, they're like, oh, I'm good here for a while. Like, no, you need to keep learning, and this is what I'm doing. I'm bringing them into meetings and stuff like that. This is what we're doing. Like, you need to don't get stuck with your same skill set. Just always grab from somebody, because I'm always from my director and from other people, other departments, has nothing to do with my department. Oh, I like the way that person did that. I'm gonna try and implement that. Like, and you push your team, because a lot of people want, like, oh, I have a good team. As long as I'm here, I want my team like here. It's going to get uncomfortable when you're rehiring again, because your team's moving up, not because they're quitting, or if they're going to another company, like, oh, I'm advancing in my career, but at this time, this company is not where I need to be at, but this company does. Good job. Go. Like, it's never like, all right, new step. Let me get somebody else in here. Let me do it. And that's how the mindset should be. Yeah. But it's not. That's how. And
it's important when you lead to also understand that as you build that team and you build a culture, right? When someone moves up, right, or leaves, or whatever the case might be, whoever's going to replace that person comes into like a process, right? So the person comes in, and right away, oh, look, this is how we do things. Everyone knows their place. Like, they can read a paper or something, you know, and be like, oh, okay. So, and that's what's so important. Because a lot of times we'll go into different companies, and you walk in, and you got like 10 different people telling you 10 different things. And you're more confused than anything. And then you're like, oh, but this person told me to do it like this. No, do it like this. No, do it like that, you know? And I think that's what's important to maintain, like, what they call business continuity, right? So if anything happens, there's a fire, you lose papers, whatever. Like, what's next? What's next? You know, what's next? And you got to have that in place. So if someone is out of the team, is being replaced with someone else coming in from the outside, boom, they walk right into like this team culture and being surrounded by the other people. Like they pick it up so much quicker. You know,
Right.
I always remember that the guy Caesar Milan, whatever,
Yeah.
like the dog whisperer.
Yeah.
All the troubled dogs, he will pick them up and bring them to his compound. And the dog is like all like feisty and aggressive, and he brings him into the compound, into the corral, whatever you want to call it. All these dogs are there, they're like calm, so this dog will come in and he would just have to calm down because it was the power of the pack.
Right.
Yeah, the power of the pack. The pack, everybody's calm. You come in all aggressive and then you got to calm your ass down, because it's kind of like, hey dude, like look, we're all chilling.
Right.
We're all chilling here. Like why are you like jittery, like no man. So that's pretty cool, dude. I mean, like it's quite an experience. Like everything that you've been through from high school, being like this,
middle. Oh yeah.
Middle school, being this like ADHD type of kid,
right.
and then kind of like going through stuff. Fortunately, running into teachers that believed in you, saw something in you, and they wanted to help you and kind of give you an idea of what to do, and they saw something that you were doing and they said like, hey, let's use that for you, and then obviously you evolve from there. Casino was quite an experience. We dealing with people consistently, like so many different personalities, and everyone thinks that they're VIP. And everyone's like, oh, this and that. And we're like, hey, calm the hell down,
Right.
And there was a lot of negative energy too. A lot of people coming in were like just distressed energy, and we had to learn how to handle ourselves, before we handle them.
Right.
And obviously we rely on the team. Luckily, we had a pretty good people in the team, and everyone came together. As far as like process and all those things, like you know what I mean? It's just like one of those things, but nothing's gonna be perfect, I guess. And I think all those things, and obviously going through the moment of like your family and looking out for your family, like it just opened up like even a bigger book of life experiences, right? It gave you more wisdom, and now you're applying all those things. And I think that's important too, to watch other people, how they do things. I like watching a lot other coaches in different fields, like basketball coaches, football coaches. I like reading their books and things like that, their philosophy, how they achieve certain things, like how they got players to do certain things. Like I like reading about stuff like that, or watching documentaries. To me, it's important because I'm able to implement it into the how I do things.
Right.
And trying to keep people on the right path. And doing the right things and just continue living with a purpose. Doing things with a purpose. And because a lot of times like people just do things, but there's really no purpose.
Right.
And that's crazy. So from here, where do you see yourself like in a few years, like moving on up that ladder, like
Yeah, I tell my wife and my kids, I was just like, so with the company I'm at now, there's different levels, but like, so basically my next stop would be either director or VP. So, and I'm just like, nothing, like that's literally my direct line. So it's just like with everything I've learned here, if I decide to stay with my company, I love the company I'm at now. If my director, he's been there for like 26 years. So if the director position there doesn't open up, but if I felt this at whatever time, I'm like, because now like it's like if I feel like looking, I'm gonna start looking.
Yeah.
And I'm either gonna go to the director, or I'm just gonna skip over and go to VP, because it's like when you look at I'm always looking at Indeed and stuff like that just to see what's out there, what's going on, what's new in the field, and stuff like that. And you see like, oh, well, I have all the qualifications for a VP, but it's like, or at this moment, I don't want to just jump into that. Like I wouldn't apply now. I like where I'm at. I'm happy. Like it doesn't mean like in any other job, like say you start pissing me off, I'm gonna look on Indeed real quick. But it's like it feels good now to be in a situation where I can I don't feel so pressed to be like I have to it's been a year, like I'm not director, I need to get the hell out of here, like I think that. So if I'm riding for 5-6 years and decide, you know what, kind of bored with this, I mean, push to the next level. It's not open at the company I'm at. All right, let me look to see who's doing that.
The good thing, it seems like you working under like really good people. Like there's some type of culture where they, and I like the fact that they allow you to express yourself, right? In the sense that like, hey, you know what, we need help here. Lead the change and make it happen. Right. I like that, because that's a great motivation, to a motivating factor, you know, to like wake up and think like, hey, you know, and it's very rewarding, right? Because at the end of the day, you're like, man, you know, I created this process, which is pretty cool. And then hopefully someone else, like after you, once you move up or you move out, someone else can come in and see what you've done, you know, and be like, oh man, this is pretty cool. It's pretty effective, pretty productive, you know, everything's working out pretty good. Do you read any books? Do you watch any self-help videos, like things like that?
It's funny with me, like my my wife and my girls, they always reading. So I like The Compound Effect, and I've read that thing like
that book is incredible.
So like I still have the same one for all these years ago, and I'll read it. But daily, I'm like, as far as sitting down with the book, like I said, I'm impatient. It's like, so I don't sit there and read. I won't read. Now I have like digital books. Like if I'm flying somewhere, then I'll run through a vendor management for idiots book or something like that. But most of the time it's like daily, nonstop I like to have my feed filled with like articles of like new and upcoming stuff relating to my field, even property management, just to see how that's going, real estate, and then also want to see like success stories. So I'm always reading somebody's path that they've taken and where they're going now and what they've been through and their little tips that they throw out there and stuff like that. So for me, what works for me is like I'm always throughout the day reading some article or something like that just to see what, like, either industry wise or growth wise.
So you do short selective reading,
right?
You know, something that applies to what you're trying to do, which is great, because that's what keeps you up to date and it gives you ideas. Because I always tell people, look, when I'm sharing information, it's not for you to like take it as like, this is what I got to do for myself. No, listen to different things, and you're going to see some things that are very, very similar, right? But you got to figure yourself out, right? Because certain things it might work for some people to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning. It might not for other people, right? So it just but at least you got to read. At least you got to see how other people did it, and how they made it, right? And then takes a little bit of that, a little bit of this, and then you come up with your own little style, right? And you're like, okay, I feel like 5 o'clock is not good for me, maybe 6. But at 6, I'm able to do this, you know, like blah, blah, and then do the things that you want to do, you know, like how people write things on their calendars, how people write things on the board, on a piece of paper, whatever it is that works for you, you know, as long as it is keeping you on track, I think that's what the way it should be, you know?
Right, and it's like whatever works for you and motivates you. Like there's people like my wife, she will have a whole chart, Excel file, this, but that works for her. So she knows that goal. My thing is like, before we got you remember we were tent camping, we wanted the pop-up, we got the pop-up, we wanted the travel trailer, now we got this travel trailer. Next thing is the fifth wheel that we're looking at. My easiest damn thing is just a picture. That's it. Over my desk, I just look up whenever, I want that. Same thing with the weight loss. I didn't have a picture of me skinny, obviously, but it was like, there was a picture of The Rock. Ain't no way in hell I'm gonna look like The Rock. But hey, I want to look like that. So every time I wanted to do something, I would be like, kind of thing like that. But to me, that worked, the visualization of what I wanted. And the same thing now, like I see, like it can be like, I'm always looking through Facebook and you see homes that there's no way in hell I can afford. It's $4 or $5 million home. That would be nice. We don't need that. I like that. But just seeing that's like, I want to be in a position, if I want it, I can get it. So let me keep working hard, and if it happens, it happens.
I like that, because a lot of people talk about like the board, what do you call
vision
it?
board,
the vision board, whatever. Like, But I like what you're saying. You're a little more relaxed with it.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of like having a vision board, you have more like, let me have a picture, put it up on the wall, whatever, and that'll keep me on track to do the things that I need to do in order to achieve that. Right?
Yeah.
That's kind of like a reminder.
Right.
And that's pretty interesting, man. Because you see, because a lot of people are very visual.
Right.
Right. I'm very visual, so I like to see certain things.
Right.
You know, and so having a little picture on the wall it will continue to remind you of like, hey man, don't forget to do this and this, because this is what we're trying to achieve.
Right. It sparks something in you. Like I can look at a whole vision map, and there's some people, their brain may work differently.
Yeah.
Like, damn, I'm still on step 1, and it might start to make them like, I got a long ass way to go. This is a rough day today, and to get to where I want to get, I have to still do this. So maybe it's that for that type of person doesn't work. So then they just don't want to do anything. What does work for you? If you see something like, oh no, I just my vision is I want to get to where I want to get to go to the Bahamas whenever I want to. But every time you see a picture of Bahamas, like, yeah. Maybe that's all you need. Just have it on your screensaver every time someone pisses you off. Look at your phone, like, you know.
Like I don't do the years, and I don't do those because I like people might not notice it, but I feel like it's too stressful.
Right.
If you put 5 years and then like look at what happened, COVID hit,
right.
and so that goes now. Guess what? A full year that you're not able to do the things that you need to do, right, to achieve those 5 years.
Right.
Now what? And a lot of people, because of COVID, they quit their whatever vision was. Right. Because and like if I go running, I don't like looking at the time. Right. Because I feel like it'll stress you out. Mm-hmm. Like I just want to run for health, whatever, so I just go running. Now if I'm competing, what I do is like I look at the time that I leave and the time I'm back, right? And then I just try to like speed it up to for the time to be better. But I don't like looking at numbers because many things can happen, right? And it'll deviate you from the path. Right. Now you really start stressing yourself out. Right. I've seen people say like, oh, if I don't get this done in a couple of years, then I'll stop doing it. I'm like, that's crazy. So you're in your first year now, COVID hits. Then so now you're quitting? Right. Like that makes no sense to me. Right? Because sometimes it takes a little longer than 2 years. Right. It might take 3, it might take 4, it might take 5, right? And that's why I don't like doing things like that. Right. I hate putting numbers. I'd rather go from one beep to another beep and just do push-ups than to tell myself like, oh, I'm gonna do 30. Because when I'm on 20, I'm already like almost there. So you stress yourself out. Like, and now I understand like why like actresses and actors and stuff like that, or artists, they have a person that comes and dresses them up and does the makeup, right? So they don't have to stress about those things. Because look how stressful it is every morning just to wake up and be like, oh, where am I going to wear today? Should I wear this shoe? Should I wear those? Right. It can become stressful. That's why I say like people like the guy from Facebook and some of the like Steve Jobs and stuff like that. They have like 20 pairs of the same colored jeans and 20 of the same T-shirts or whatever, right? So they didn't have to worry about it every day. Yeah, they look the same, but every day, hey, boom, they don't have to stress about what to wear. Yeah. They just put it on and there they go. Yeah,
more efficient morning. Everything's done.
I used to be like, oh, why would people want to have a helicopter, right, to go to work? And guess what? Do you want to spend 2 hours on the road, like trying to get a place, because of traffic? Like, then I came to understand it's being efficient, being productive. So instead of spending 2 hours on the road, you get on your private plane, or you get on your helicopter, and then you make it out there in half the time, or even a quarter of the time, and then you're able to, like, as you're doing it, you're reviewing paperwork, you making phone calls, or whatever the case might be, and it's just being efficient, man. Being efficient and being more like making the most out of your time, being productive. And that's why when a lot of time it's like, oh man, you've been busy. I'm like, nah, I'm being productive, man. Like I'm trying to be as productive as I can, because anyone can get busy. You can't get busy like watching 10 like a movie marathon. You know what I mean? Right. So, but that's not being productive. I mean, it might make you feel better, because you gotta maybe one of those days that you just want to totally relax. Then you relax, and then you can watch all the movies you want, but you can't do that every day, right? So you got to kind of like stay productive, like make sure that whatever you do when you wake up until the time you go to sleep, that there's something that you go to sleep thinking like, man, today, I accomplished a couple things. So I accomplished one thing. Today I learned a new word. Today I learned something new. I think that's what's important.
Right.
But what I like about you that you're taking the role of mentorship, right? You're trying to mentor people and trying to share your skills and your knowledge, to help them. And I think we've lost a lot of that. There's not a lot of mentorship lately. Everything is like do, but they're not really teaching you and leading, by leading by example, or like, because sometimes some people, like me, I'm the type of person, dude. Sometimes if you talk, like I'm like whatever. But if you come, you tell me, like you literally hold my hand, you say press here, press there. You will never have to tell me again.
Right.
Because I'm the type of visual person, emotional person. So that's how I function. You function based off like visual and emotions too. Because like you say, I'm very impatient because you're competitive. You're very goal oriented, so you want to get things done.
Right.
Which is good, but it's not good, right? It's all about balance.
Yes.
So you got to learn how to balance it, because otherwise you drive yourself crazy.
Right.
So you just got to be able to what do you call it? Like learn how to balance that, how to control it, and be like, okay, I need to be here in the middle, in the middle somewhere, But it's great because you have to be competitive. If you're trying to do create goals and achieve those goals, you have to be very competitive, and like I said, good, healthy ego, healthy pride, none of that toxic stuff, and just be very goal oriented, and be
you have
competitive.
To be willing to learn from anybody.
That's so key, man. A lot of people don't want to do that. They think like, oh no, blah blah. I know, no, you don't, man.
I'm not sure if it was him, but I think it was Warren Buffett who talked about like learning from the janitor, and like he's like, anybody in my company can come talk to me, and he just like there's I think it was him that was like, oh, my janitor, like one of the stories, like he came in and was like, I know you guys are asking about this, but have you ever thought of like doing this to reach whatever the situation was? He's like, come present that.
Yep.
Like he's like, I think that's exactly what we need. Come present it. He said, because so many people get caught into thinking in a box that sometimes you need someone who they're not in that box. They're like, I mean, what about this? Like, it might be dumb to you guys, but and then they're like, oh yeah, that's not the way we've learned how to think, because we've built this box around, and it's like, and then we all naturally do that. We have a comfortable way of thinking, and our minds work in a certain way, and it takes somebody who may think differently. And like, hey, what if we can do this? What if we can go to the moon? Like, you know what I'm saying? And that's what,
because we've been programmed to believe that only certain ways are the right way, right? Instead of being like, hey, going back. Like, you should treat everyone with respect, right? Like, everyone. It doesn't matter who it is, from the bottom to the top, if you want to call it that, right? I don't feel that anyone's at the bottom, but I'm just saying, like, for speaking purpose, right? Like, everyone should be treated with respect, right? And you got to be conscientious of the fact that you got people cleaning, so don't drop your shit on the floor, right? Like, pick it up. Like, think like that. That's how people should think. When you care for people, then you can lead people. You got to be conscious of those things. Like, hey, they're human beings. Let me help them out. Let me mentor them. There's like I was saying, there's a lack of mentoring. Like, people don't want to mentor people. And that's why we run into so many problems, dude. We run into so many problems because of stuff like that. Like people become like, they just don't want to put the energy into it. And a lot of people are very, like, they're driven emotionally. So they need to feel comfortable. Not that they need to feel perfect. They just need to feel comfortable for them to continue to grow. Some people are very visual. So you got to show it. Like, by you jumping in there with the people and doing certain things, they see you doing it, right? So you see, you leading by example. They have the visual, right? And they're able to, like, want to do more. They want to go the extra mile. But a lot of, like you're saying, a lot of people think like we all learn the same way. We don't, right? So you got to listen to all these different people, but you also got to play the mentorship role, right? And like you said, come and present it. Hey, you never know who's going to come up with an idea, man. There's a lot of people out there. They might be the janitor or whatever, but hey, they're very sharp. Their circumstances are just different. Maybe they're going through different things in their lives. So they have to resort to work doing that, but it doesn't mean that they're stupid. So they can have they can have the answer for all of us. And many. So that's why it's so important to listen to other people no matter what. So that's awesome, dude. I'm super proud of you for for coming so far. And it's not like it's been easy.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you had to overcome certain challenges. You had to go through a little bit of struggle. Like, and maybe a point like, oh crap, what the hell,
Right.
shit,
Right.
what just happened? My wife just got laid off, and I'm like, oh,
Right.
so because we all need to have that doubt and uncertainty, right? In order for us to be motivated and push ourselves forward,
Right.
And sometimes that's what we need, because sometimes we might get a little complacent,
Right.
And just be like, oh, whatever. Oh man, dude, like, listen, I want to thank you for coming around, and obviously, hopefully, as you keep moving on up and achieving more things, man, hopefully at some other point we can have you back in the show,
All right.
to share your experience, man. And it's important for, but I wanted to tell the kids out there, this camera right there, just, what type of mindset they need to have, moving forward if they're trying to achieve something, to be courageous and stuff like that. If you can give them a little message.
I mean, the biggest thing is everyone can doubt you, but the only one that has that effect to change your course of action is you. Like, honestly, if you believe you can do it, that's all that fucking matters. I don't care what anybody tells you. You can't tell me I can't do nothing. They told my 450-pound ass I couldn't run, and I've finished 5 marathons. So it's it's all about how you perceive yourself and how much you believe in yourself. And honestly, just do it. Just grind. Don't let anyone work harder than you. If you want a goal, no matter where you start, no matter what you do, start somewhere and then just work your ass off and just build yourself up. And just don't get discouraged. Don't bring it home. That's going to be the biggest thing in life. What work does, it's a very hard concept to do because I still do it. But just don't bring it home. Just go home, release it, go back and just start grinding again. Just keep that goal in mind. However you have to see that goal, to constantly remind yourself. Just do that and just keep going. That's it. Just keep swimming. Just keep swimming.
Justin, thank you, brother.
Right,
Appreciate you, man.
Thank you.
Much love to you.
Subscribe and like our page will put you in the game. The Beanbags Talk.